Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of selections from Plato's Symposium. So I did a few of these a while ago, and I'm going to start up again with doing a little bit more. So I got up to this speech of Pausanias. I'm just going to summarise the section firstly. So Pausanias is now, his speech is now to be reported from this famous dinner party. Pausanias's theory is that Eros, like Aphrodite, is double. That is, there are two Eroses. One is connected with so-called Ouranian Aphrodite, the so-called heavenly Aphrodite, and she was the motherless child of Uranus. And the other Eros is associated with Pandemian, or common or popular Aphrodite, and she is the daughter of Zeus and Dione. The love associated with Ouranian Aphrodite, the heavenly Aphrodite, is directed exclusively to older boys and is dedicated to virtue and honourable deeds. This love, says Pausanias, is noble, whereas the love associated with Pandemian, that is the common or popular Aphrodite, desires females as well as males and seeks nothing but physical gratification. Pausanias says that this love is base, and he then goes on to say that the Athenian custom encourages the older lover in his attempts to woo his beloved while discouraging the boy from giving in. And this promotes a sort of contest whereby each man reveals whether he is devoted to Ouranian, heavenly Eros, or Pandemian, or the common or popular Eros. The noble lovers conduct themselves and dedicate themselves to virtue. Now this Pausanias himself is the lover of Agathon. He's fervently homosexual and shows a degree of contempt for women, even by 5th century Greek standards. On the other hand, he sees the ultimate aim of love as mutual improvement of the lovers and not just sex. Thus, he is opposed to loving what we would call underage boys, that is pedophilia. So he's talking about, I think, boys that are 16 or above. And he stresses mutual betterment and permanency. He takes a more legalistic approach to love, and his Greek is a little bit harder to follow in several places. So there are several long rambling sentences whose structure is not always clear, but I'll do what I can to make sense of them. We have to understand all this in the context, of course, of 5th century Athens, and whereas we might raise our eyebrows at an older man having a relationship with a 16-year-old boy, we might raise our eyebrows at this in modern times. This was not seen as particularly odd in 5th century Athens. So he begins here, Phaedron men toi uton. I won't read all the Greek out, I'm just going to translate through. And remember, this is all being reported back at what happened to this dinner party which went on years before. So he said that Phaedrus to have said some such story, some such account. So he said that Phaedrus had given some such account. Meta de Phaedron, and after Phaedrus, certain other ones, there to be certain other ones. Now, the alus could simply be a plural from the logos here, are certain other ones speaking, or perhaps certain other speeches, hone, of which not very much did he remember. So he did not remember a great deal. Hus pares ton pausaniu logon de ergeton. Now pares, participle from parhiemi, which passing over them, he related from de hageamai the speech of Pausanias. I'll translate logos as speech, I think is best here. So he began to relate, it's imperfect, the speech of Pausanias. And he said understood that him to have said, and then we get hoti recitative, so you don't translate it here. U kalos moi doke o phaedre, pro bebleisthai heimin hologos, to haplos hutos parangelthai en komiasden erota. It does not seem noble or good to me, O Phaedrus. Pro bebleisthai is a perfect passive infinitive from pro bello, which has the meaning to set forth or to advance something, to advance an argument. So it does not seem right to me, O Phaedrus, for the argument or the story pro bebleisthai to be advanced to us. And what is the argument? And then to haplos, and the to I think goes with the parangelthai. I think it's probably a articular infinitive. This is a perfect passive infinitive from parangelo, to order. So to be simply ordered in this way to make eulogies or to make praise of Eros. So he says, I do not think it's right that this account be advanced, that we simply are ordered, that we have been ordered to make eulogies or to make a praise of Eros. Amen gar eis hein ha Eros. For if on the one hand there were a single Eros, only one Eros, kalos an eke. Now this is echo plus an adverb used in the sense of to be, so it would be good, it would be fine if there was only one Eros. So as usual in Greek, you often have to take the second part of the sentence first. So we would say, it would be fine if Eros was one, if there were one Eros. Nunde, well, it's funny, this means it's almost the reality is, ugar est in haes, for there is not one, understand Eros. The gar is almost since here, so, but in reality, since there is not one Eros, or there is not one Eros. Me ontos de henos, this is a genitive absolute here, there not being one, so since there is not one Eros, estin, it is orthoteron, which is more correct. This is a comparative here. So it is more correct, proteron firstly, pro or wraithenai. Now this is pro plus the wraith root here. This is formed from the aorist passive from lego. Recall the aorist passive is erathane, it's from a different root. So this is prolego, to say beforehand, and this is the aorist passive infinitive. So since there is not one, it is more correct, firstly, to say for it to be said in advance, hopoion, what sort of one it is necessary to praise, that is, what sort of Eros we should be praising. Ego un par asamai tuton, ep an orthosasthai. Therefore I, future here, I will attempt this. Now this, we get this compound verb with epi plus ana and orthoo in the middle. It means to set it right. So I will attempt to set this situation right. Proton men, firstly, phrasai, to say or to speak of the Eros, ton de epinein, the one whom it is necessary to praise. And so we get proton men, and we don't get a de, but it's balanced by the epater. So firstly, it's necessary for me to speak of the eros which it is necessary to praise, and then to praise in a manner worthily, to give praise of the god in a manner worthy. So to give praise of the god worthily. Pantaska ismin, now ismin is from oida, for we all know that uk estin, there is no Aphrodite, anu erotos, without an eros. There is no Aphrodite without some corresponding eros. Mias men un uses heis an ein eros. Therefore, now we get a genitive absolute, and it's feminine here. So this is referring to Aphrodite. So it's, as usual with the genitive absolute, you sometimes have to make it into a more detailed clause in English. So therefore, if there were one, there would be, so one Aphrodite understood, there would be one Eros. Epe de duo eston. Now eston is a dual from the verb to be. So since indeed there are two, that is, there are two Aphrodites, ananke, it is necessary, understand esti, it is necessary for there also to be two Eroses. So if there are two Aphrodites, it is necessary for to be two Eroses. Pos de duo tos thea. Now this is a dual again. So how, and it's a question, how can there not be two goddesses? Now the argument here that he's going to make is a little bit cryptic for us, but according to Hesiod in Theogony 190 following, Aphrodite was born from the genitals of Uranos. That is, this Aphrodite comes from a male with no female involved. But in Iliad 5, 370 to 430, she is the daughter of Zeus and Dione. That is, she's born from a male and a female. Pausanias thus thinks that there must be two Aphrodites, the one we hear of in Hesiod and the one we hear of in Homer. The heavenly Aphrodite, that's the one from Uranos, and the popular or common Aphrodite, the one descended or born from Zeus and Dione. Hemen gepu presbutera kai ameto uranu thugate. We get this combination of particles. So the one, on the one hand, in fact, perchance. So one of them, indeed, is perchance the elder, and she is ametor, this is alpha privative, without a mother, the daughter of Uranos, ein de kai, whom indeed also Ouranian eponamadzomen, whom indeed also we name as the heavenly Aphrodite. So I'll just get this balanced properly. But the younger Aphrodite understood is born from, understood, Zeus and Dione, whom, in fact, Calumen we call Pandemian, the common or popular Aphrodite. And en kaion de kai erota ton men te hetera sonergon pandemon orthos kelestai. And in fact, it is necessary also for the Eros this fellow worker with the, now hetera is one of two, so with the one to be justly called Pandemian. So it is necessary also to rightly call, for the Eros to be rightly called popular or common, the fellow worker with the other of the two, that is, the this is the Pandemian Aphrodite, ton der Ouranian, but the other one, the Ouranian, the heavenly Eros. Now notice we get a nice little chiasmus here, because in the description the first Aphrodite is called the heavenly one, and the second one the popular one, and then we have a reversal. So the Eros for the popular one is called Pandemian, and then with the heavenly one second. So a sort of crossover here. He likes to do this. Epainon menun de pantas theus. And now menun is just a combination of particles, simply often translated as then. It kind of moves the thought processes along. So then it is necessary, it is then necessary to praise all the gods, pantas theus, ha dun hekateros elekthe peration apain. Now peration, this has got that teos ending, which is the gerundive, so it one must. So one must attempt to speak of those things, so therefore one must attempt to speak of those things which hekateros, each one of the two, eleike is an perfect from langkano. If you're looking this one up, langkano is the verb, lambda, alpha, gamma, chi, etc. So langkano, which means to obtain by lot, and so it's literally one must attempt to speak, therefore, of those things which each of them has obtained by lot. In other words, perhaps the things they preside over, the responsibilities which each one has. Pasaga praxis hodi eke. It's a funny little phrase here. It's literally for each action is hodi as follows. So echo again plus an adverb meaning is. So for each action is as follows. Haute ephiatus preptomene uti kale uti iskra. This is an interesting philosophical point, I suppose. So it's something like for the things, for that which is done. Now it's feminine agreeing with praxis. So for each action, I think, being done in itself is neither good nor bad, neither good nor disgraceful. So each action being performed in itself is neither good, neither kalos nor iskros, neither good nor base or disgraceful. Hoion honun hemas poiumen, such as, so for example, this hoion, for example, that which we are now doing. A, pinein, either having a drink, or heidein, or singing, or debating. Uk est in tuton auto kalon uden. For, now Greek likes to put double negative, so none of these things is auto kalon, noble in itself. So none of these things is noble in itself. Al ente praxe. Now this little section is difficult. Hos an praxe toi uton ap ebe. Just literally, but in the action, as it is done, in such a way it turns out. So in other words, it's something like, it turns out thus in the action, in the actual doing, how it might be done, how it might be performed. So paraphrasing that a bit, we could say these things turn out in this way or that according to the mode of performing them. So that's about the best I can do with that bit there. Kalos men gar pratomenon kai orthos kalon gignatai. For being carried out, being performed nobly, it is also, being performed nobly and orthos rightly, it becomes noble, and not rightly, understand, it becomes aiskron, it becomes a shameful thing. Huto de kai to eran kai ho eros, u pas esti kalos u diaxios en komi adzesthai ala ho kalos pro trepon eran. Thus indeed also, now to eran, this is the infinitive here, of course, and so this is articular infinitive. So thus also the act of loving and eros, upas esti kalos, not each one is noble nor worthy, so neither loving nor eros is noble nor worthy enkomiadzesthai to be praised, but now we'll get a hot here, so it's the eros who is pro-trepone, who induces, understand us, eran, to love kalos nobly. I think that was the sense of it there. So just to do that last bit, for thus indeed not each, so in respect of the act of loving and eros, not each is noble nor worthy to be praised, but the eros who induces, understand us, eran, to love kalos nobly. And that is that next section from the Symposium.